Hello and welcome to this day that, boy, I've been waiting for a long old time. Now this is my pedal board. I'm obviously going to get it out of the bag in a second. And this video has been, I'd say, 11 or 12 years in the making. Ever since I first got my very first guitar pedal, which was a Crybaby from Hell, the Dimebag Darrell signature Crybaby. I've been wanting to put together a nice old pedal board. And I got this pedal train in about 2010, 2011, I'd say. And I bought it to fit all the pedals I'd ever want. And, well, as you probably are aware, pedals are expensive. And I actually started putting this thing together when I was, how old I've been, 16 or 17? So I didn't have much money back then, and I've only just scraped together all the pedals over these intervening years now to put it all together. And this pedal board currently is in a little bit of a sad state of repair. So we're going to need to clean it up before I take over to the shop, where we're going to drill a load of holes in it and zip tie down all of the pedals. So let's have a look at it. The pedals are most likely going to be a bit all over the place, as just because I haven't finished the pedal board doesn't mean it hasn't been used, and it's been gigged fairly frequently. Some of the pedals have been velcroed down, but a load of other ones haven't been, because I wanted to wait until I get all my pedals before I properly place them all in position. And some of the velcro has died a little bit, hence why I'm going to be zip tying it. So if we open this up, a lot of the pedals have already slid to the bottom, as I've been having to hold it sort of like this rather than carrying it, because it's a carry case, I can put it on my shoulder, but I haven't really been able to. We're going to rip it all off, we're going to hoover the board, we're going to clean it up. Here it is at the moment. Probably see loads of hair on it and everything. And this is the current pedal board. We have, as has appeared in lots of my videos, all these different pedals. We have the power supply, which I recently bought, video link there, which is the Chocs chocolate power supply. I bought this thing to be able to power absolutely everything I want. We have the first pedal, the aforementioned Dunlop Crybaby from Hell. We have not really a pedal, but my foot switch for my Laney VX100R, very important pedal there. I have a Boss acoustic simulator, an AC2. I then have a Korg pitch black tuner. Need a tuner with a lovely large screen. I wear glasses. Hello, you can see me now. I don't tend to wear them in my videos because I prefer how I look without them. However, I do need to wear them. So when I'm gigging, because I headbang and everything, I tend to not wear them. I do need to be able to see the screen. And so that's why I've got one of a nice large screen on it, just so I can easily see whatever note it is. And then into my smart gate, my MXR smart gate, which is looking a bit stained there. A recent gig, I think my pedal board got a bit soaked in beer by someone who was walking past, so this needs to have a little bit of a look at. And so I'm going to rip them off and clean them. So that's my main pedal chain. And then in my effects loop I have a Boss BF3, not the BF2, I just want to buy one, flanger. This actually replaced my MXR flanger, which I had, a whole series of videos on that had big problems, into an MXR Black Label chorus. Really nice chorus pedal. It's a signature model of Zakk Wylde from Black Label Society. I remember at the time really liking the look of this pedal, and then just around about the same time I was buying it, the analog MXR chorus came out, because I think the only one I had at the time was the digital. And as far as I know, it's literally the same pedal as this, but in blue. But the actual week I bought it, this was a couple of pounds cheaper. So this is one I wanted anyway. Then going into my recent acquisition that's also just isn't taped down at all. See, some of the older pedals, like this one and this one here, are taped down, I did ages ago, but some of the newer ones like this aren't taped down. Hence why they've all slid to the bottom. This is the Moore Ocean Machine delay. It's the Devon Townsend signature delay. I just use it for absolutely mental stuff. Haven't really got my head around it yet. And we also have old trusty, the MXR carbon copy analog delay. This is my solo sweetener kind of thing. Whenever I want to play a guitar solo, I put that on just to make it sound a little bit nicer. Now if I close this again for a moment, we do have the other pedals that are going to be going on board. We have a recent one I got, which is the KMA Machines Fuzzly Bear, an absolutely beastly fuzz. This is to replace my Eric Johnson fuzz face that I featured in previous videos. That was a lovely pedal, but it did have the problems of not being able to plug it in. I really hate having to use batteries. In fact, this thing is a complete antithesis, because I was meaning to do a gig where I was actually going to battery this up, and I opened it up to realise there's no place to put a battery at all. It's plug only. But for the most part, I like doing that. I don't want to have to, worry about things losing power. And some people say they prefer the sound of a dying battery. But to be honest, I'd rather just plug it in and know everything's going to work. I'm not have to worry about changing batteries and things. So I got this to replace that. So that's going to be going in there. As well as that, we also have the Digitech Whammy. Always wanted one of these, finally got one. This is part of the reason why I got the chocolate power supply, because I need something that's going to be big enough and strong enough. And also on top of that, the even more power sucky pedal is the Line 6 HX Stomp. This thing is confusing to use. I've never gotten on too well with multi-effects. This is my for everything else kind of pedal. So if I open the board back up again, as you can see, I have pedals for certain things, but there are some effects you may see not here. For example, phasers. I know people like to use sometimes. Like I'll use a flanger somewhat frequently. I'll use a chorus very frequently. I'll use delays frequently. I'll use that frequently. I want pedals for things that I use often. But, sometimes you're just watching videos, you're thinking, oh god, that's a cool sound, I wish I could, get that. But rather than having 1,000,006 pedals, I decided just to get this, because every video I've heard of it sounds really good. I have a friend who swears by it, so much so actually he's doing the opposite, where he's actually reducing his pedal board size just with this replacing it. But I thought I'd have this for sort of one-off sounds I don't tend to use. As well as that, I tend to use my amp's distortion. But I know sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you can't use your own amp, and if the amp you're using doesn't sound very good, this is why some people, like I know Dave Simpson has made videos about saying how he only uses pedals because he can trust that he'll always get a similar sound. For that reason, I'm going to have one of the sounds in this setup as like an overdrive or distortion, so that I can get a good sound anywhere, but for the most part, just this. And so that's going to be the everything else kind of sound. There is actually going to be another thing coming on here. It's a 2-pedal foot switch that's going to be attached to this. It's actually at the shop that I'm going to be taking it to in a second. It's already arrived. So that will be going on the pedal board as well. So, first things first, I'm going to take these pedals off here. We need to strip the pedal board. And so here we are, I've got it out of the bag now. And to begin with, I'm just going to start by just unplugging everything. I think first things first, the chocolate isn't secured, so I'm going to leave all the cables in it, but I'm going to take all the cables out of the pedals and just try to remove it from the board first, just to get it off, as that will save up a lot of space. There we go, so I should be able to just take this off, just pulling cables out where I need to. Ooh, flanger, don't forget that. Just making sure they don't catch on anything, like there. And there we go, the chocolate's out. The chocolate needs a good clean. Like I said, it got a bit beer soaked. The next thing, easy thing to take off is just my lady VH100R foot switch. As you can see, there's actually strips here of Velcro that came with the board originally that I'd attached to the back of this, but as you can see, it's still got its sort of foam bit. It's even a bit there where I'd taken a knife to it and I was trying to cut it off, because my original plan was actually just to strip all the foam off the back of that and then Velcro it down, but as I'm not going to do that now, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to take that off, give that a clean, and actually we'll be stripping those off in a second. Let's talk about taking strips off the back. For example, if I take the Moisket off next, that actually has Velcro on it. It used to have like little rubber feet, similar to the Digitech Whammy that I have here that has little rubber feet. And for Velcro, you need to take those off, but honestly, I might just strip the Velcro off at this point. I'm going to take out these cables. Now these are really nice actually, Planet Waves cables, and I have a load of these. However, the way I want to set up a lot of my board, they're going to be a bit too short, so I have to splash a bit more cash when I go to the shop. And I know they have, they can actually cut cables yourself there, which I'll do if I need to, but for the most part they have those like cut it to your length kits. So I'll be doing a lot of that. See, ones like this and this just come off easily. This one's Velcroed. As well as making sure everything fits, I can then choose to basically have anything in any position I like, despite what order they come in the effects loop and what order they come in the traditional pedal chain, as I have both. Yes, one, as you can see, the Velcro is really just moved on that. I'll just take that off in a minute. This one's come straight away. This one's also been Velcro down, although the Velcro's actually come off. The Velcro's actually come off that one completely. You can see it used to have rubber feet, but it's gone now. And then, yeah, the crybaby. Why Dunlop in today's day and age? I know I bought this pedal 12 years ago, but why in today's day and age do you still insist on having these annoying feet where if you unscrew them, right, to take the rubber bits off and you try and screw the screws back in, they are slightly too long, so the back plate always falls off. Meaning you either have to buy an attachment, which as far as I know Dunlop don't even provide themselves, Or, in my scenario, we're going to be drilling holes in this board, because it's not like a pedal train that has strips. It's just a bit of wood with a bit of carpet on top. To do this, because you might have noticed this piece of cardboard here. Well, this thing, if I rip it off, has a bit of Velcro on the back. What I had for ages is I had this sort of double-sided taped to the underside of this to try and give it a bit more height. It semi-worked, and not really. Not particularly well. Right. God, this is looking disgusting, isn't it? Let's get the last bits of the Velcro for this taken off. This is going to be the most difficult bit of all, actually, this particular part. You can see here where all the rubber on the underneath, all this actual rubber, like sticky adhesive, has been completely stripped off that one. With these, it's still a little bit attached, so actually it's causing it to attach to the hair on the board. Long hair problems there. And also, oh gosh, and also it's causing it to stick to the actual carpet material. Oh. Well, there we go. You can see these like patches where there have been gaps where there haven't been, and it's all dusty up here. All right, first things first, let's get the Hoover out. So here we are, no messing, it's dicing time.
A few moments later.
Oh, that's so satisfying. There's still a bit of sort of discoloration in the carpet, but other than that, that's much, much better. Now, I'm just about to clean my pedals up, but just one thing I just thought to do, just before I do all that, because I'm going to be zip tying and bolting everything down, take pedals that can have software updates and update them. I just thought about that. I checked this and it was on, I think, 3.11, and 3.15 is the latest, so I have just finished updating that, so I know when it goes on. I don't have to worry about it for a while. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, but yeah. There's also this one, which I don't think I need to update. It seems to have a bit of a weird way of doing that. I might have to deal with this one a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to have this one as the main one I use for weird things updated. Right, so next. Taking really dusty things like this. Power supply, you see it's gotten stuff spilt on it here. It's all apart, it's all rock and roll. This one's dusty as all hell. This one's been stained up, and I'm not going to bother filming a lot of the process. I'm just going to clean it up. A couple of reasons. One reason, obviously, is I want to look after my equipment. I'm also going to clean this part of the board here because it's a bit dusty. It's, pride in your own equipment, looking after your own equipment, want everything to look nice. But as well as that, as I'm going to be taking this to a shop where we're going to be having, someone else handling my gear, I don't want them to be handling manky, stained, possibly even sticky gear. It's horrible. And they shouldn't have to do it. You see, I once used to work at a shop called CEX. If you're unaware, if you don't have a CEX in your country, it's a place where people trade in and then trade out, like, films, DVDs, but also things like mobile phones, computer parts, games consoles, things like that. And loads of people bring in their stuff completely filthy. If you're ever thinking of selling stuff there, for God's sake, clean it first. I've had it before, and I kid you not, where people will hand in like phones just caked in grime, or games cases where you open up because you have to obviously check the disc, and there'll be bits of like chewed up food in there.
Disgusting!
Yeah, don't do that. So if you're ever going to have any of your equipment handled by other people, for God's sake, clean it first. Right, let's clean them up. Now for some of this I'm going to be using like polish like this, so I'll quite simply just spray a bit of it on, and just wipe it down, make it look nice and clean. And obviously you need to be careful to not get it in sockets of things. Right, just giving things a good wipe down like that, and that's already looking a lot better. Dust on the side there. And it's stuff as simple as that. Just cleaning it up, making it look nice. I'll also be removing the Velcro from the back of the pedal, so I've done it here, so that's now going to need to have the residue and stuff cleaned off. But yeah, I'll see you again when I have a load of clean pedals. So I'm just in the middle of cleaning, and here's a fun little tidbit for you. With this pedal in particular, as you can see, there's still a bit of residue there, I'm not done yet. But I'm having a particular problem getting a lot of the staining off it. And I've been using like polish, I've been using like, surface cleaner. But actually, what my fiancée suggested, nail varnish remover. Into a cotton pad, you can see a bit of grime there. And with a bit of elbow grease, it is coming right off. So yeah, if you're having trouble with cleaning certain things off your pedal board, can't hurt to try a bit of nail varnish remover, I suppose. Although one downside of that would be, with ones that have paint on them like this, I have managed to strip the paint a bit, so yeah, be careful. And there we go, pretty much all clean now. And something I was thinking of doing was taking a page out of Linus Tech Tips books, where he likes to assemble all the electrical components of the computer and sort of power them up with the power supply first, just to make sure they all work. However, I've got a bit of an interesting scenario with this, where due to the annoying power requirements of this boy, I've got to use a load of extensions. Now, I did actually email Chocks, and they were really good about getting back to me about suggesting that all these would work, because I actually sent them emails saying every single pedal, and they clarified that it would work. However, I know there's going to be some level of daisy chaining going on here, and as I haven't done much daisy chaining yet, and, you know, I've been using pedals and stuff for years and years and years, but I've never built like a massive board like this. I'm gonna take all my cables with me and let the guy at the shop, who's a bit more of a specialist in that scenario, deal with that. You know, as a guitarist, you like to try and be a bit of a jack of all trades. However, if it comes down to accidentally blowing up a £300 power supply or like an almost 500 quid pedal, I don't really fancy doing that. So, yeah, I'm gonna let him do it. But what I'm going to do instead first is I'm going to figure out the exact order I want to have for the pedals, take a picture, and then that'll be the order we have it. So, let's go through the two little sides of the pedal board then, shall we? First, the pedal chain, which will be, you know, from the guitar through these pedals, then into the amp. Because I'm also running an effects loop, which, if you're not too sure, is where you have a second cable coming out of the back of the amp into some more pedals going back in. This actually causes these effects to happen just between the preamp and the power amp stage. There's a certain theory of thought that says that certain pedals work better in that configuration, but really you can have it however you like. So this is the order I want my pedal chain to be. And so it'll be fuzz first, purely because fuzzes tend to misbehave themselves I think if there is a buffered pedal before it. So normally the safest option is just to put it first and just deal with it there. Then I'm going to have the wah pedal. Then I shall probably have the whammy pedal. And then either of these two, I don't really mind which comes first, honestly. I know that some people really hate having the tuner there because there is a level of, you know, tone, I think, as you go through any circuitry, which can be sucked out. Now, this pedal here has two outputs, and so some people would want to have just a second one isolated for the tuner. However, I like having the tuner there as a mute as well. Say as I'm switching over guitars, I'll just kick it in. So rather than having the sound you tend to get from unplugging the guitar, it'll just be muted instead. I found that much easier. Then, into the HX stomp. Now originally, I was planning on having this being both in the main chain as well as the effects loop, because I thought you could do that. I now realise that I don't think you can. So it's just going to be straight in, otherwise I'd have definitely have caused a problem. Could have even blown a valve, don't want to do that. Because I thought this send and return meant to the send and return the amp, but no. This would just be going straight through. And then finally, a noise gate to finish off. So let's now have a look at what we're going through the effects loop. And effects loops are a little bit more funny, as they tend to be related to time-related effects. These are things like delays, reverbs, and modulation effects. For that reason, I shall start with my flanger, then I'll be going into my chorus, then the Devon Townsend one. Even though it has way more going on with it than my other one, which will be going last, my carbon copy analog delay, I don't tend to use it as much, and really I don't think it matters which way these two go. But another thing is, the inputs and outputs are on top here, and this is going to be the last pedal coming out of the loop. Now, I tend to use right angle jack leads, so ones that look like this. And so I'd rather have this at the end of the board like that, where I can just plug in and go, rather than having something here. And where is the output for this one? It is having to go in like that, where you see there'll probably be a pedal above it, so it'll be a pain to have to plug into. So for that reason, this shall be arranged like this. So now, I'm going to stop the camera again, and I'm going to have a little think, and I will show you the configuration I come up with. And so here is how I'm thinking about having it done. Because I'll need this near the end, because like I mentioned before, I'm going to have like right angle jacks going in. what I can also do is it's easier to have this here, because what I can do is I can come in, switch that off and on easily, as well as that I can easily reach that. It's easier to reach expression pedals further up than it is to reach switches further up. There's a bit of blank space here. Now I'm thinking about moving this flanger actually down here to be a bit more accessible. For the last few gigs I've had this further up, and it's been such a pain to get to that I really want it right where I can have it. This one doesn't matter if it's a bit further up, I don't tend to use it too often. Same thing with this delay and with these ones. This one will basically stay on the whole time. There's a bit of blank space, like I said. Part of that's going to be where the foot switch for this goes. You might notice also that the chocolate is now no longer on the board. I've always preferred having them on top, but looking at this now, it looks like I may need to either move things around a bit, or that quite simply, it will have to be bolted to the underneath. So, we're going to be taking this over to the shop, getting a load of holes drilled in the board, because rather than having Velcro, because especially like, okay, from my XR pedals, they've been fine with Velcro. However, stuff like this, even my foot switch, so heavy, so awkward, that actually what we're going to do instead is, we're going to pick where they go, cut the cables to length, then we're going to drill holes through the board, a bit drastic, I know, we're going to drill holes through the board, and then cable tie it down, all zip tie it down, so that I don't have to bother, holding it really flat like this when I'm carrying it anymore. I can just let it hang. I mean, heck, I would probably even be able to flip it upside down and not worry about anything falling down. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this now. So, I am going to head off to the shop, get my new foot switch, get this all wired up, and through the magic of filmmaking, we will see what the new board looks like.
1 week later.
Voila! And here we are, and this is the pedal board here. So, slightly different design, thought up by the guy at the shop. I think it's a little bit better. If the power supply looks like it's a bit of a funny angle, it actually is. It's sort of held up on a block just so that the fan at the back can get enough airflow. After a fair bit of trial and error, we got everything to work, so let's plug it in and see the light show. Here we are, and so we have everything lighting up. I'll come in and turn some things on so you can see them. All lit up there. And that is the pedal board, everything all set up, ready to go. Now, I'm running a little bit late here, as I literally just got this back and I have a gig with it tomorrow. So, how about I test it out first? Let's go to...
By gigging it out, of course. Perfect way to test it.
So suddenly we fast forwarded through time, as I'm currently editing this video, and I'm editing this video in 2023, whereas most of this video was actually filmed in 2022. I hadn't actually filmed an ending for the video. The plan now is to not have a demo of the pedalboard in this video. That'll be for a future one. Keep your eye out for that. But I'm just going to wrap up the video here, and you might notice that things are a little bit different. Specifically, this here I got for Christmas. This is a nice wireless unit from Boss. So what I have now is, I'm actually not using the input on this at all, because that's meant to be there to bypass this in case your battery dies. Instead, I have a cable going out here to my Fuzzly Bear, and it's extra long, so if needs be I can just pull it out if the battery dies on that, and just plug straight into this, and then it goes through the system same as before. I have actually learnt how to use the HX Stomp, and I have a whole load of profiles set up. Move the foot switch up here, so I can go and play loads of harmonies, and I have a load of presets I've made. I found it a lot easier actually to do that on the computer rather than trying to do it through the pedal itself. In fact, I also managed to break this cable here, and it was, well, the long part of the jack was actually stuck inside the pedal. I had to take that to be repaired. Got this back recently, getting ready to do well, actually the first gig of 2023. And so yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this board sounds, how it's all put together. It's a heavy old thing, but man, it's been through a load of gigs now, all set up how I like it. It sounds bloody great. And I will do a proper full-on demo going through every single one of these pedals at some point in the future. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.